It runs out into one of the three rivers. Now, don't say them. Let's see if the 7-footer from Grand Chute knows the three rivers that constitutes Pittsburgh, PA. Go.
Yeah, west, east, and north.
Do you really not know any of them?
No, I've heard them once before, but I haven't paid attention to it. Listen, there's limited space in this head of mine. I'm not going to fill it with that.
Okay. The Ohio, the Allegheny, and the Monongahela.
Good job, Saves. Very nicely done.
I'm a geography nerd. I just sit around memorizing geography, stuff like that. Now, for some reason, I committed that to memory. So there you go. Okay. Before we get to the Brewers part of the business here, let's talk about how dirty baseball can be. Rowdy Tellez, our beloved Rowdy Tellez, got cut by the Pirates yesterday. Just 4 plate appearances shy of a $200,000 bonus that he was entitled to. And the team had the gall to say, oh, this had nothing to do with that bonus. It's just unfortunate. We don't have the roster space, and used to be this way, used to be that way. Dirty biz, Levering. Dirty.
Yeah, it's really frustrating. To be that close and to get cut with a week to go in the regular season is no fun. I'm not a big fan of people spending an entire 8 months with an organization and then with a week to go, whether you're in it or not. There must have been something behind the scenes that led to it, other than just, hey, we've got a roster crunch. There may have been some other ancillary things going on there, but
other than just money, Jeff. Other than just money, or do you think this literally comes down to a money deal? Because what's $200,000? I hate to say it like that, but
it should be nothing to the team. But it's real money to Rowdy Tellez, and it's a week left in the season. Less than a week. They're not in the playoffs. What are we doing?
Yeah, for sure. That's a nice carrot at the end of the string too, and you're getting so close to it, and to get shafted like that is brutal. That's brutal.
These are the kind of things. These are the kind of things I thought the union stepped in and said, "Whoa, whoa, whoa." Does the union not lobby for their guys?
No, not in that circumstance. I don't think it gives a bad look, and for me, it's a bad look for the future too. Who's going to come over and sign in Pittsburgh now if they're going to do that to Rowdy Tellez for 4 plate appearances to get $200,000? Who's going to come to Pittsburgh and play for an owner that does that?
And what does that say to your franchise pitcher in Paul Skeens, as far as this is how we operate? This is what we do?
Right. Well, they'll end up shelling out for him, maybe, or they'll just trade him away like they've traded away other people too in the past. I mean, if you look at their rotation in the past, they had Glasnow at one point. They had Garrett Cole at one point, all in the same rotation. Jamison Tyone in the same rotation. Where are they now? They're all gone.
Exactly. Jeff, for me, when you look at this last week, I think it's important to play good baseball. I think it's important to win series. I really I know, I talked about it yesterday with Czabe. I said, hey, this week is more important than what people believe. Like, it just is to me. Like, you got a young team. You want to feel good about going into it. Am I wrong feeling that way?
No, not at all. I mean, and Murph said as much last week. I mean, they played pretty well against the Phillies. They won 2 out of 3, and then they just
Arizona happened.
They looked dead against the Diamondbacks.
Yep.
I mean, the offense just was MIA. And Murph said, he goes, I think Sunday was a big wake up call for everybody, and I think it was too. You get that big win, you come from behind, you're down 8-0, you win 10-9. But it was great to get the win, yes, but it was even bigger for the team to play the way that they've played all year long. And they didn't do that in the previous 3 games against Arizona. So I think it was really important. It's really important to go into the playoffs feeling good. The Brewers have seen this in the past where they are not playing great going in the playoffs, and you try and turn that switch on. It is a lot harder than people will make it out to be to turn that switch on if it's off.
I have maybe the dumbest question I've ever asked on this show, ready to go, cocked and loaded. And that's a high bar, by the way. Very high bar. This might be the dumbest question. Maybe it's a incidentally good question. Who knows? We'll see. How do managers, Jeff, get players, quote, pumped up to start fast in a series, which obviously best of 3 you got to do? There's no sort of football like, men, the hits we need are all over the place. They're in the nooks and the crannies of the game. You can't do that in baseball. Or maybe You can to some degree. What do managers do? What button do they press to try to get their guys locked in right away for a quick moving 3-game series?
I think it's more of Murph and other managers going out there and saying, this is what you play for all year long. These are what these PFPs are for in spring training. This is what all these at-bats are for this moment, right? You're all trying to do the same thing. And he doesn't have to go out there and say it. I feel like they feel it
right
inside that clubhouse. I don't think he needs to go out there and make some grand speech before game number 1 of the playoffs, whenever it is on Tuesday, or if it's on Saturday, if luck goes the Brewers' way. I don't think he needs to go out there and say anything. But go out there, be who you are.
Right.
I think that's the biggest thing that he needs to say, because they've been a really, really good team all season long.
Right. Be who you are. But while you want them focused and pumped up, quote unquote, you also want them calm and relaxed, which is a weird sort of dichotomy. You don't want them pressing, obviously.
Yeah, right. It's my thing is it's really hard to hit, and you and you always hear the people say when they're teaching hitting, it's swing quick, not fast, or swing quick, not hard, right? You're trying to swing hard to meet a 100-mile-an-hour fastball, but you can't be so out of control and your body's tense. You have to be loose and your hands have to be quick. So it's a very similar type of, listen, you go out there and you play, but as soon as you tighten up, you cannot play loose if you are thinking too much.
Right.
You got to go out there and you just got to feel it.
What about the approach at the plate? Is it the same as it is in the regular season? Are we trying to drive counts deep into the count early on and really get that racked up, or are we going to try to be aggressive and swing at the first thing that looks good to us?
No, I think they just stick with the approach. I mean, they lead Major League Baseball in pitches per plate appearance. That is part of their identity as an offense. They've got to get on base by using walks and using their speed. And I think that's going to be a big part of moving into the postseason. Now, you're going to be facing pitchers in these series, whoever you end up playing, that are, they're the best in the sport for a reason. That's why their team is winning. So you have to have that aggressiveness. You have to be ready, but at the same time, you have to be as patient as possible and make sure it's a quality pitch to do damage with.
Pitches per plate appearance. I love it. Can I call that stat PIPA? Because it's a perfect PIPA stat. How's the PIPA on this team? Number 1. We're doing great.
And then I'm going to go watch the musical Pippin afterwards. Pip on the Pippin.
Jeff, with this team, they've been so fun, but they're young. Does that concern you at all with playoff baseball? Because that is my big question mark. Like, they just don't know yet. And I think that also can be good. I also think it can be bad.
Yeah, for me, it's ignorance is bliss, right? You don't know what you don't know until you know it. I think that this team has as good a chance as any team that the Brewers have had in the playoffs. The 19 team, for me, might have been their best team. Even when Corbin Burns wasn't going, I still like that team in terms of athleticism. That may have been the best collection when Yelich was healthy that the Brewers have had during this stretch. I mean, 21 was unbelievable. They were playing some great baseball. Last year was fun. The 18 team was, such a great run in the last 2.5 months of that season, too, to the NLCS. But I feel like this group of players is one of the best that they've had. Their bullpen may be the best that they've had in this stretch. And that's saying a lot because they've had some unreal bullpens with Hader and Knable and JJ and everybody else. But I think that this group is really fun to watch. They play a different style of baseball. I mean, they just do. And someone came down from Fangraphs yesterday in Pittsburgh, and I've seen him a lot in the minor leagues. He's a very, very good writer. And we've seen him a few times over the course of the year, and he goes, I came down here, and I've asked you this before, Jeff, but how are they doing it? And we hear it from everybody.
Yeah.
We hear it from everybody. Why is this team good? Why is this team being successful? What is the secret sauce? I went, I don't know. They're just having fun. They're just going out there and they're playing. And it's a throwback style. And I think it's really good for the sport to see a team like this play well, or even Cleveland. Cleveland's very similarly built. I think that it's just a fun brand of baseball.
With this team, we talked about it briefly. Would you like to see the Phillies or the Dodgers, based on, the Brewers Dodger problems? Do you think they still have a Dodger problem if they get that far?
I mean, their top three in the lineup is as good as there is in Major League Baseball with Ohtani, Betts, and Freeman. And then Teoscar Hernandez is having a career year. Having just seen the Phillies with recency, I mean, I'd rather not face Wheeler and Nola.
And that's where I lean too a little bit, because we talked about it, Czabe, and I was like, I don't know, like, and then Czabe brought up the 20 games and what the Brewers have been against the Dodgers. Okay, there's a fair point there, but I lean more towards Dodgers if they get there far, and that's where they should get.
Yeah, I think the Dodgers are beatable. Now the Dodgers have their own problem. I mean, they're only 2 games up on the Padres with 2 more to play against San Diego. Now they do finish with Colorado at the end of the season. But I believe it's in Colorado, not in LA, whereas the Diamondbacks finish with the Padres. So, I mean, they're chasing down a potential division. They might get caught. So they've got something to play for, but I don't think their pitching is as good top to bottom as the Phillies pitching, but you got to get through round 1 before.
All right. Yeah. And it's, San Diego, they've got 2 left with San Diego, and then you're right at Colorado.
All right, another dumb question. Is Skeens due up here in the next couple of days?
No, he pitched on Sunday, I believe.
Okay.
Saturday or Sunday.
All right, I know radio is not visual, but I sent this to you, Butch, you can see it. I assume, Levering, you follow Rob Freeman, Pitching Ninja, on Twitter?
He's amazing. Love him.
Okay, so he has this overlay of Skeens where he takes 4 different pitches from Paul Skeens. 100-mile-an-hour fastball, 95-mile-an-hour splinker.
Yeah.
Which, what is a combination splitter, sinker?
Sinker, yep.
Okay. 85-mile-per-hour sweeper and 88-mile-per-hour changeup. Overlaid all 4 pitches. And all 4 pitches are clustered almost on top of each other for the first, say, 7 or 8 feet as they leave his hand. And then they scatter like a flock of birds by the time they get to the plate. Oh, my God. How does anyone get a hit off this guy?
That video I went, how does anybody hit? I mean, they're all coming out of the same tunnel, and then they just all go. It's incredible. It's like playing Contra and you get the spreader gun. It's just all over the place.
Yeah, and not only that, but his arm angle's the same as well. A lot of these pitchers can't deliver that kind of variety from the exact same arm angle. That's what hitters pick up on, right?
Right, and they call that what Skeens is doing, tunneling. So everything's coming out of the same tunnel, and then they just spread all over the place.
Yeah.
If you watch that with Devin Williams, it's fun to watch his fastball and then his changeup come out of the same angle. And that's what makes the hitting really hard, because it looks one way coming out of the pitcher's hand, and then just there's so much spin rate you can't pick up the seams with your eyes, and then you're swinging all over the place. Skeens is unbelievable. He's going to be really, really good for a really long time, and I hope he's healthy for a long time too, because he is a joy to watch.
Yeah, and they did fix the tipping from Montas. They think they got a handle on that?
Sounds like it.
Okay.
Sounds like it. Yeah, which is a good thing. I think he's going to pitch one more time against the Mets this weekend, and then he's ready to go for the postseason.
Jeff, where are you at this weekend? What college football game are you at this weekend?
I have Indiana at home against Maryland.
Ooh, red on red.
Pretty good game, yeah.
That's a lot of red in your future, I see.
Right now.
Yeah.
Sneaky good game. 3-1 Maryland, 4-0 Indiana, averaging 50 points a game.
Wow.
That's crazy. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
All right, now here's a question. Primanti Brothers sandwiches with the fries inside the sandwich. Overrated, underrated, or just rated?
It's just rated.
Okay.
It's okay.
Yeah.
It's fine to do it once, but I don't need to make a habit out of it.
I'll take my fries on the side. Thank you very much.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's just a big bite.
It is a lot. Okay. Jeff, as always, a pleasure, my friend. Call a great game tonight, and we'll see you soon.
You got it. Talk to you next week, guys.
Jeff Levering, Valley Sports, Wisconsin. Wow, I didn't know Indiana and Maryland were off to those cooking great starts.
Football. Yeah.
How does that make you feel as a Badger? Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah, no, you'd love to see Wisconsin play more. Now their schedule's been a little bit more.
It has.
Wisconsin's been a little bit tougher schedule-wise. So.
But scoring 50 a game, no matter who they're playing.
With a new coach, new coach, new system all came in, and they're rolling. I mean, there's no question. The schedule's been a little bit different, though. So.
All right, coming up, we got Aaron Nagler, Cheesehead TV, Packers, Vikings. What on earth is Brian Flores doing on defense with the Vikings, it's crazy. Even the pundits on ESPN are gobsmacked at some of the formations they're seeing. We'll play a bite on that. Get next.
James, I'm going to ask you something. Colvin, bring up the tape. It's a little trivia for James Jones. Let's see just how good James is diagnosing defenses. James, what kind of defense are the Minnesota Vikings in right now as you look at it?
Oh, my goodness. Looks like man.
Looks like man-to-man, right? You got this individual man. This individual
empty man. It looks like right now.
Man, right now,
no safety in the middle.
No safety in the middle.
Yeah.
Cover zero. That's what the Vikings are in right now. This is coming from a 9-year NFL vet that led the league in receiving touchdowns. Shady McCoy also agrees it's man-to-man coverage, coming from a 12-year, 2-time Super Bowl champ. So about 20-plus years of NFL experience are saying man coverage. It's cover 2.
They dropped out to cover 2 on
It's cover 2. Craziest part about it, this is Harrison Smith. He's a safety. He's playing cover 2 corner. This is a cornerback at the bottom of the screen. He's playing cover 2 safety, half field. This is a corner at the bottom of the screen. He's playing cover 2 safety. This is a middle runner. They showed you a man-to-man picture. Sam Darnold or C.J. Stroud, a second-year player, surely is going to think it's man, because I got an all-time rushing leader who thinks it's man, and I got a 9-year receiver who thinks it's man. So surely C.J. Stroud is going to think it's man, because this is Harrison Smith. That's a safety. Harrison Smith is supposed to be here. So if Harrison Smith is here, and if you got man-to-man looks here, here, and here, it's man. Until we say hut, and man turns into zone. Brian Flores, like Shady just alluded to, is running a masterful defense right now. Absolutely brilliant.
Again, I know. I couldn't see any of that on my radio. I'm going to retweet that clip for you. That's Emmanuel Acho on Fox Sports 1 with his NFL veterans showing tape of what the Vikings and Brian Flores are cooking right now. And it is fascinating stuff. As we welcome on Aaron Nagler from Cheesehead TV. Nags, good morning, sir. I assume you've seen that clip already because there are a few things that you don't see that involve the Green Bay Packers.
Good morning, Dave. Good morning, boys. Yeah, I've seen it, and I got something for it, and so does Matt LaFleur. Does anyone remember the Packers and Vikings game from New Year's Eve last season? Has that just been wiped from everybody's memories? Like, I've seen Vikings fans talking about how, they came into Lambeau last year and put the hurt on Love, and and Flores is running all these exotic looks this year. They're 3-0. Is there like a memory wipe about New Year's Eve where they ran this exact concept? And you know what happened? They threw a touchdown to Jaden Reed. Yeah. Like, I'll give Flores his flowers. It's fine. Mm-hmm. He's doing good stuff. But it's nothing that the Packers haven't already seen and completely taken apart. Yeah. So, yes, they're playing well. It's going to be a good battle. But let's not act like they're coming in here reinventing the wheel. Okay? The Packers got something for them.
Very good. Aaron Nagler brought to you as part of our Packer Insiders by Rogers Behavioral Health, Hildebrand Law, The Great Taste of Miller Lite, and Orthopedic Associates of Wisconsin. There is a difference. Jordan Love's going to play Sunday. I'm fully convinced of it. Are you?
I'm 89.7% convinced he's going.
And rising?
And rising, most certainly.
Okay,
I'm sure today will be the first kind of test, right? How much he's out there. What is he listed as? But, hey, look, at this point, it sure feels like the target was next week, but it continues to, the narrative anyway, from all the reports, is that he's ahead of schedule. And it sure feels like Sunday is going to be his kind of first game back.
If he is back, what elements of the game plan and the playbook that they use the last 2 weeks ought to be ported over to use with Love as well, if they don't already do a lot of that stuff they did with Malik Willis?
I mean, I think last week is as close as it should get as far as leaning into a lot of the misdirection, the pre-snap motion to set things up and protect your quarterback a little bit. Obviously, you're not going to be using a lot of the run scheme stuff that you used with Willis, with Jordan Love. But, man, there is no doubt that the Packers are going to want to run the ball. They've shown the last 2 weeks the entire stadium can know that they have to and want to run the ball, and they can still do so successfully. Now, that's with a backup quarterback. With your starter, what you can work off and sequence off with those looks, that should be really exciting. And, yes, you no doubt want to avoid getting into those third and long situations where Flores can draw up a lot of this exotic stuff. But that's the key, right? Is you stay ahead of the sticks. You keep yourself in second and manageable, third and short. And that's where I think this offense can really start humming. I mean, they lead the league in explosive plays, and that's after 3 weeks with 2 weeks having had a backup quarterback. I mean, this offense is ready to take over, no doubt.
Explosive plays are 20 yards or more, correct?
20 yards or more in the run in the pass, 10 yards or more in the run.
Oh, okay.
How would you say quarterback play has been in the NFL so far?
It's a rough transition, right? We have certainly gone through kind of a transitional period from having so many fantastic all-world future Hall of Fame quarterbacks kind of nearing the end of that era with Aaron Rodgers, his probably last kind of breath here in New York. And man, it's hard to watch at times. There's no doubt about it. But I do think there's a lot of talent on display. There's a lot of guys learning on the job, though.
Well, and that goes to my point, right? You're not having preseasons like we have. You're not having training camps like you've had.
Right.
So it then leads to this question that I've got, because I was curious where you're at with it. Jordan Love hasn't played in 2 weeks. Jordan Love didn't play a lot in the preseason.
Nope.
Are you at all worried about the performance of Jordan Love on Sunday? Because I am a little bit, and just because of the reps that weren't necessarily there and haven't been there through 3 weeks.
I hear your concerns, but at some point he's got to play, right? I mean,
no, and you have to play him. I'm not saying don't play him. I'm not
clear,
saying that, but I am a little
right.
concerned there's going to be some rust. There's going to be a little bit of that going on.
I think you saw that in Brazil, right? I don't doubt for a moment that you saw a little unevenness. He certainly hit some big plays, but certainly left a lot out on the field. And look, that's by, the fact of exactly what you're talking about. You don't get live reps in any meaningful way in today's NFL until you start playing these games. And I think you've seen that effect the last few years and I think you're seeing it play out this year. This first month, September, you hope you're collecting some W's, but you are getting into playing shape, playing groove, whatever. You've certainly seen that kind of happen across the league. And I think, you might see some of that from Jordan, but at the same time, at this point, he's probably been out there for any number of these practices. We don't know how much he's doing behind closed doors. I don't think it'll be, oh my gosh, he's so rusty, but I do think, you'll see some rust a little bit.
All right.
And I wonder if that rust cost them the game. That's all.
What?
Anything could cost them the game, man.
No, I know, but your quarterback play. Why are you going to go like
Josh
Jacobs fumbling could cost them the game.
Why are you zooming ahead to a disaster that has not yet even happened? Why?
Because I have something called a gut, and my gut is telling me that something like that, the performance of Jordan Love, because then all of a sudden you've seen the way Malik Willis has played. People are, you should have. I can tell you what's going to happen Monday. And I'm usually right when it comes to this. It's not going to be a great performance. All right. There's going to be
There's going to be quarterback controversy.
Oh, not a controversy, but there's Ronnie and Ryan Lander's going to be like,
right.
I told you I should have played Willis.
Yeah, well, they're going to get that regardless. That's fine. But look, you've got unlimited upside if you have Jordan Love in there running the type of offense they've run over the last 2 weeks.
Correct. I'm just saying, I think you're going to see more rest. I just think quarterback
a little bit.
Generally, that's going to be one of those areas that you're going to look at and say, man, should have probably done this a little bit, and it's what it is. You live with it. You have to live with it. You're not going to not play Jordan Love. I'm not saying that.
Right.
Those words never came out.
You are 100% correct. The second guessers will be out in force.
Yeah.
And I think they'll probably be out in force regardless. So
can we get a set of names that alliterate Ronnie and Ryan Lander, Walter and Wausau?
Yeah.
Can we just get that set? We'll pull them off the pile.
Alex and Appleton.
Alex and Antioch.
Sam and Superior.
Sam and Superior, right. Your typical Packer fans. They love their team, but boy, do they get way out ahead of themselves on certain things.
One of my best friends in the world is exactly like that.
It really
100%.
Yeah. The same people
that we grew up in out like hello.
We know.
Like we
you know, Butch.
Like, I know.
You know.
I know.
Yeah. Sort of like the arbitrage warriors already trying to pre-flip Malik Willis for a third.
How hilarious
How
is this?
dumb. How dumb.
I'm like, okay, Gordon Gecko, slow down. All right. We're a long way from that. He's good. We like him. We're keeping him.
You could easily get him a first. I mean, come on. You just flip him, get a first.
Right. Just stop.
Top 8 pick.
I love it. Like he's a house in appreciating value. We're just flipping this stuff. We got him for a 7th. Who gives us a 2nd? Let's go.
What are we, property brothers here?
Seriously. It's great. I love it.
All right. Open-ended quarter in the Aaron Nagler jukebox on Aaron Jones and his return. I know how your fandom runs deep. I know that you always put the Packers first.
Oh, yeah.
But your affinity for old number 33 is as deep as anyone's. How do you feel? Tell me about your feelings, Mr. Nagler, as he comes back to Lambeau for the first time.
I'll tell you what, man, it was already tender, right? Very, very conflicted. Don't love watching him in purple in any way, shape, or form.
Right.
But I do love the man. I do love how he carried himself. I do love how he represented the organization while he was in town.
Mm-hmm.
And all of that was compartmentalized, and I'm like, all right, he's coming to town. We got to beat him up. We got to put his stuff in the dirt, like whatever. And then this morning, he released this piece that he wrote for Players Tribune.
Did. Oh, he sure
and at
did.
the end, his line, right to the heart. The quote is, "No G on the helmet Sunday, always one in my heart." Oh, baby. You talk about a guy who's
can't even be mad at him.
Buttons. No. And he writes about his father passing and how Matt LaFleur, Brian Gutekunst, Ben Simmons all flew down to Texas after it happened. They absolutely didn't need to do that. And it's just, again, a man who,
this organization
even when
just
he's
doesn't
not
take care of people at all.
I know, right? They treat their star players so
terribly.
terribly.
Treat their star players
so awful.
bad.
But that's the thing. It's like, even when he's not with the Packers, he's still carrying the G. He's still representing the values that you want players in Green Bay to reflect and to espouse. And he's just impossible on my end. He's impossible to hate.
Yeah.
I hate that he's wearing purple, but I just love the man. He's awesome.
Well, let's keep him from getting going, though, because that is one thing.
Man,
that
Billy and I talked about this on Carry the G Radio yesterday. I know Justin Jefferson is a problem. He's going to get all the focus, etc. But, man, you ain't worried about Sam Darnold. He's going to hit his throws and whatever. I'm not worried about any of that. I am worried about Aaron Jones. I think the offense on Sunday for the Vikings runs through Aaron Jones, and that is going to be fascinating to see how Hafley kind of tries to keep that in check because, man, he's so talented and he is playing really well through these first 3 weeks for the Vikings.
All right, let Captain Czabe put a bucket of chum into the rivalry waters by replaying this clip from Paul Allen.
Oh, God.
After a game in Minnesota a couple years ago. Oh, yeah, we're going there.
I know exactly what you're going to play, too.
Because this will be the first time in a while since Stokes has been injured that he could potentially be guarding Justin Jefferson. Now, I don't know if they're going to travel Jair. I don't know what Hafley's philosophy is. I bet it's going to be a mix when it's all said and done. But here was Paul Allen talking about Jefferson versus Stokes back a couple years ago.
You're baiting me right now because you saw what happened right before this. And you know what? I'm going to take the high road on this Green Bay Packers coach looking at me saying, you better not talk into that microphone and give your team any credit. I'm going to take the high road on it and say I'm very impressed with the Green Bay Packers finding a way to win 8 games despite all those injuries, A-Rod's toe, COVID, line, and everything. So I'm not, going to say to that coach what I wanted to say, like, you can go ahead and put Eric Stokes and Justin Jefferson the rest of his career. And like he did in 2019 when he was with LSU and Stokes was with Georgia, he killed him. And he killed him again today, and he will kill him every single time they meet. So I'm going to end it right like that. I got to say, in my 20 years of calling Vikings games, that's about the first time I've ever had a coach say something like that to me. So best of luck to you guys the rest of the way. And quite honestly, I hope you lose every single freaking game the rest of the year.
Well, speaking of coaches,
classic
rivalries.
Love it. Absolutely love it. I will say, I don't know if this has ever been confirmed, but I'm pretty sure the coach he's talking about was a former Vikings coach who came over to the Packers and was one of their secondary coaches and now is down in Atlanta.
Who said that to Paul Allen as he was doing his post-game stand-up? Don't you say anything good about your team?
And look, Paul Allen, it's so funny you played that because Corey went on a huge rant yesterday on Packer Transplants about Paul Allen and how much he hates him. He does it every year. Paul Allen gets under his skin because he's supposed to. To your point, it's a rivalry, right? Like his literal job is to pump up the Vikings, make Packers fans hate him, and he does a good job of that. But yeah, I love that. I think Stokes is up for it. I think Stokes is playing well so far this year. Now, Justin Jefferson's an all-world talent, and to your question, I am fascinated to see how much mixing and matching they do. I suspect, and I talked about this with Billy yesterday, I think they'll see some snaps and some stretches where we'll have Jair on whoever they designate the number 2, and they'll probably have Stokes on Jefferson with safety help for a good part of this game. Again, I think he's going to get his. He's too talented not to. He's an all-world player. There's no doubt about it. Whether it's Stokes, Jair, whoever, he's going to get his. But at the end of the day, you just want to make sure he doesn't kill you. Those over-the-top shots, the one he hit against the 49ers, those are the ones that you absolutely have to limit. They did a good job against the Colts trying to do that very thing.
Right.
Justin Jefferson's a different animal, though. We'll see how they approach it.
I know it's not Wayne's style, but does Wayne need to start stirring some stuff
It's
up?
not
on
Wayne.
our
See,
end, or
but
no?
if
It's not, correct.
if Wayne did it, it would feel inauthentic.
It would come off as forced. Okay.
Yes, that's
No
just not
question.
Wayne's way classier than Paul Allen. Paul Allen's like the dime store version of Wayne Larrivee. He wishes he could ascend to the class and incredible taste that Wayne Larrivee exudes with every call.
Oh,
What is Paul Allen most known for? It's like calling a missed kick a made kick, and this is not Detroit, this is the Super Bowl. And then
ripping his own Hall of Fame quarterback for breaking their hearts in New Orleans.
So, he's known for misery. Wayne has, of course, a couple of miserable calls because the Packers have been on the doorstep of the Super Bowl for a decade and not gotten there. But you also have these amazing, magical moments narrated by Wayne Larrivee. You got nothing like that with Paul Allen.
Don't forget Paul Allen's call of the tiptoe catch in Arizona. Launched the Packers into the playoffs.
Corey mentioned that on the call yesterday.
I love it.
Have knocked the Vikings out of the playoffs.
Okay.
I was in Lambeau for that. It was amazing.
They brought Nate Poole there.
Nate Poole. They did.
Yeah,
the wild card game.
Sitting in the stands at Lambeau. We love it.
That is fantastic. Back in the day, Nags, when everyone had to turn around to one of the suites that had a TV.
That's where I was. That's what I was doing. 100%.
Right, because nobody had phones or anything like that. Nowadays, I would assume they'd put it up on the Jumbotron. Why not?
Probably.
Right?
Well, that was the other thing. Remember,
Mike
Mike Sherman had forbade them from showing any scores during the game. So we just didn't know. So we all did crane our necks and look up, and you saw everyone in the boxes with their arms raised in celebration. And then we started cheering, and then the players were like, "Whoa, I think we just won the division." And then they started cheering. It was like a ripple effect. It was a magical night. That was an awesome game to be at.
All right. You are in the room with the Vikings franchise as a whole and the Bears franchise as a whole, and you've got a gun with one bullet in it. What do you shoot?
So violent,
I'm using the Michael.
Heard our recent shows.
No, I'm trying to use the Michael Scott one where he's like, his answer was, "I shoot Toby twice." Would you? Like, who do you really hate more, the Vikings and their fans and their franchise, or the Bears and their fans and their franchise?
Easily bury the Vikings. This is not even a question.
Easily. Wow. Okay.
Easily. Like, the Bears still suck, and they are the Bears, and you hate them. The longest rivalry in the NFL. But Papa Bear came along and helped us survive. Now, everyone should know that was very much about his own kind of financial interests, because Packers fans obviously traveled well and filled up the stadium and surrounded the place and spent a lot of money. So it wasn't like he was doing it out of the goodness of his heart, totally, but he did help the franchise survive. And Bears fans, for as annoying as they are every offseason, thinking they're going to win the Super Bowl every year, there's a commitment there that I respect. Whereas Vikings fans, they're a bunch of front runners. They're all puffing their chests right now because they're 3-0, first time in forever. It's like, great, I'm really happy for you. What happens every year? Every year you screw this up. Every year. And this year's going to be no different. So, they're just a plastic franchise that if they cease to exist tomorrow, the world would not care. It would keep spinning. The world would go on, and no one would bat an eyelid.
I don't think you're wrong.
I would imagine that one of your life goals is to die with no Vikings Super Bowls ever.
Oh my gosh!
And that was my hope as a Redskin fan growing up with the Eagles.
The Eagles, right? I was just going to say,
were the exact
when
same
the Eagles won that Super Bowl, you must have been absolutely taken apart.
It literally sucked so bad. It was worse than the Redskins getting killed by the Raiders. I'm like, they have this now, and they'll always have it
forever.
It can't be taken away.
Nope.
It's the worst.
Yes. No. What's funny?
So the Vikings have to die. I have to die.
I have to perish from this earth without ever witnessing the Vikings win a Super Bowl. And I want my last. Yeah, I want my last breaths. Too tough.
I want my last breaths to be. At least the Vikings never won one. I love you guys.
Right.
We've lost.
And I got a quick thing for you though. Quick. Yeah. And I know the music is running here, and it might not be quick, but go for it. Brett Favre, when you heard he had Parkinson's, what were your thoughts?
We don't have time for this.
We do, because I a lot of you give me a look all you want, but I want to hear Nate's thoughts.
It's brutal. It's an absolutely horrible disease. I hope he gets every medical piece of attention that he needs. As much as we talk about Vikings legend and make fun of it and all that, the Packers as we know them right now do not exist without the man. I know there's lots of stuff off the field. I know all the stuff with the welfare money, and that will all get adjudicated at some point. But just as in a human aspect, the man played for my favorite team and literally helped save them. So
Yeah.
I
I agree.
I have nothing but empathy for the man.